Welcome to Game Changers, the show where I talk to leaders who are changing the game and shaping the future of their industries. I'm Holly O'Neill, President of Consumer Banking at Bank of America. Today, we're joined by a true leader, trailblazer, and role model for so many. Someone whose name is synonymous with success on the golf course. She's a record-breaking athlete with more than 90 worldwide victories, including 72 LPGA titles and 11 major championships. But her success goes beyond trophies and medals. Now in retirement, she's more focused than ever on supporting the next generation of athletes through the ANNIKA Foundation, which aims to empower young women in golf and in life. Proving she's not just a game changer on the green, she's also a vocal advocate for important issues like mental health, financial education, and closing the gender gap in sports. It's an honor to be here with you today, Annika. So Annika, you've had an incredible career on the golf course. So can you talk about your professional journey and the experiences that shaped you into the leader that you are today?
Well, thank you. I mean, I look back at my career and I feel very fortunate to do something that I enjoy and, really started as a hobby. I played lots of sports growing up in Sweden. I think just sports in general just caught my interest. I like being active, but I also like, pursuing something and trying to be good at what I was doing. I was lucky to get a scholarship at the University of Arizona and came over here in 1990, really haven't gone back. And I think golf has shaped me in so many different ways. I mean, as you know, if you play the game, it's all about patience and discipline and focus and perseverance and all those things like life skills that you need. I think college golf shaped me in the sense that I was, focusing on, the future, like what do I want to do? And eventually I left and turned professional and, traveling around the world and trying to beat all the ladies around the world was obviously a hard thing, but I think it just made me stronger. It made me, teach me how to set goals. The sport is so similar to life. So I think just my whole journey in general has just kind of taught me so many things about life that I'm using now as, whether I'm mentoring young players or just being a mom or an entrepreneur. It's just skills that I've kind of learned throughout, my all the steps on the golf course through the years.
That's right. So I've actually recently taken golf back up, so I'll focus on the patience part of the golf game. And that is incredibly important in golf and in life. So you're right. Those parallels between the sport and life are very close. So through the ANNIKA Foundation, which is focused on opening doors for the next generation and helping young women to lead a healthy lifestyle, both on and off the course. So what does that mean to you? Because it obviously had some meaning given that you've started this amazing foundation.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate to just be in a position to give back and to kind of share my knowledge or just my passion for life and also of golf. But I think it's just, it's my way to say thank you. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for golf. I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't have been to the places and met the people that I've met through the years if it wasn't for the sport. So how can I inspire the next generation to, first of all, try the sport and then maybe pursue a little bit of it and eventually maybe even take it, to the level where I took it to play at, at the very top. But, I just find like life and golf are so similar that I just wanted to share that stories and empower young women, help them advance through life, through the game of sport. And obviously the platform is golf in this case. And I just think so many similarities that I just thought, why can't I just share what I have? And, maybe if you can impact one girl or one young boy throughout the world, then, you've done a pretty good thing.
Yeah, you sure have. The work that the foundation has done has been a really big thank you. And I've heard you talk about the need to support women athletes in managing mental health, and we've read a lot about that, and you've been very vocal about that. So how do you think of the connection between physical and mental health?
Well, it's like a circle. Everything goes together. One is only stronger with the other, or the other one is only weaker if the other one is weaker. So I think it's important to focus on both. I think when you think about sport, first thing that comes to mind is a physical aspect. It's like, how many balls are you hitting? How much are you bench pressing? And all those things, right? How many miles are you running? But I think, the mental aspect is just something that a lot of people have taken for granted, like that should just be there because you're strong, then you should be mentally strong. And nowadays you see in a lot of athletes, there's so much pressure, even starting at really young ages where there's so much to balance and, the expectations of performing in school with friends and, in your arena. I think a lot of, players just feel overwhelmed, and it's hard for them. A lot of young people, they leave the sport, they just feel like they can't handle it. And but the ones that have been successful, when they start sharing stories, I think it's just very helpful. So for me, it's, I tell people all the time, I mean, my journey has not been like, a freeway, a straight line.
Right.
There's a lot of curvages, and you hit a snag here, and in golf, you make a bogey, you make a double, and you got to rebound, and in different ways. So I mean, I would say my biggest lesson is face the fear. It's something that I learned early on, and I've been very shy as a young girl, but the sport has helped me to pursue my dream and given me a lot of confidence. So I think if we can take the mental aspect and kind of blend it in earlier with the physical, whether it's just setting, expectations where they, with their normal expectations, and goal setting is really important, and not have these young girls just be really good in sport and then attack the mental health aspect later. So I think it's something that you need to work on really from the beginning, and know what they're, facing, and what can come up, and not just really shock a lot of young girls. It's just, all of a sudden it's like, oh, they don't want to do the sport anymore because the other part is holding them back.
Right. And you said something that triggered something for me, and that is you have to practice the mental part of the game just like you do the physical part of the game. And then there's a third element of health, which is financial health. And I know you've been a champion of that. And sponsorships and the financial partnerships play a huge role in any athlete's career. So how important is it to approach those partnerships with the financial literacy in mind? And what advice would you give to people navigating those opportunities?
I mean, you're so right. And I think a lot of these, when there's mental health or just financial literacy, these are almost afterthoughts. It's like it comes afterwards rather than being prepared. And, I think growing up, and what we do with the ANNIKA Foundation is try to prepare them for life in general. Our tagline is more than golf. So it's like, it's not just, okay, this is how you hit a 7, and this is how you make a putt. It's all the things that come with it. So again, it doesn't become a big surprise when these young ladies, or young boys in general, when you do something, it's like, well, I got to deal with that now. So it's the preparation and the teaching early. And I mean, I would say that I learned it later in life and realized that, you know what, I got to take responsibility. I got to be accountable for these things. And if you don't know, it's very difficult. Sometimes it can come too soon, and then you make a lot of mistakes, and that can really haunt you for a long time. So just teaching early about, the basics. I'm just a very basic person in the sense I just, learn, 101 what it means, to manage money, understand, maybe budgeting, or maybe understand expenses. And I mean, just small things that maybe, could be big things for others. And I think it's important because if you have the knowledge, I think it gives you a peace of mind and you comfort, and, that gives you confidence down the road.
Yeah, the knowledge will lead to confidence. I could not agree with that more. So physical, mental, financial health are really 3 intersection points for athletes. And I think it's great that the ANNIKA Foundation does focus on a lot of that preparation around all of those aspects. When you were starting out as a young adult, what is one thing you wish you knew about money?
Well, there's a lot of things I knew. I mean, I've always been a saver. I think because my parents taught me early how to save. I don't really spend a lot, but especially when you're a young athlete, is you don't know how long your career is going to be. It could be a year, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years. And then after that, you really don't know what the future will be like. So you have to kind of be smart with your money, and also make sure that you surround yourself with the right people, people with the knowledge, and they don't take advantage of you, but on the contrary, can help you along the way.
That's right. So we recently launched a family banking solution, which is essentially a debit card for kids to help parents teach their kids how to make financial decisions. So I know you have 2 kids. How do you teach your own kids about money, and what's your best tip for them?
Yeah, no, first of all, I think it's great that Bank of America has done that. I think it's really important. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the money banking police in our family. I just want them to understand the value of money, working hard, and that money doesn't grow on trees. So it's all about, we sit down probably twice a year, and I would just have them collect their money. They like to just put it in the drawer. And I'm just like one of those, okay, well, let's do something with it. Even you give it to me and you get interest, or, just kind of look at it and see how it grows with time. So, and then I want them to manage it, and I want them to understand that, if you want to spend, it's amazing. I'm sure, if you have kids out there, when it's your money, then they want everything at the store. And then when you say you have to pay with yours, all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe I don't need this one, or maybe I don't need this one. So it's really funny how, the situation changes. But yeah, we kind of go through it twice a year just to go through and see if it's increasing or decreasing. And also, you're buying the things that you really need. So I think it's just important to have that conversation. And of course, it's not something really they look forward to, but I make sure that they sit down and they write down just on a piece of paper because it's easy. And then all of a sudden they realize, really, wow, this is quite important. So, but it's a slow process like anything in golf. It takes time, it takes experience, take a little practice.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I have 3, and it is amazing how frugal they are when it's their money versus yours. So that's a life lesson. And having that conversation is part of the learning and part of building the confidence for kids. It is so important to set them up for success early on. And it sounds like you learned from experience from your own parents, which is great. So let's talk about access and opportunity in the sports world. So Bank of America recently launched Golf With Us, which provides youth golfers with free memberships and discounted tee times at thousands of courses across the U.S. And it really is aimed at breaking the barriers to golf. So why do you think breaking those barriers is so important?
Well, I think it's super important. Thank you for doing that. I mean, it's obviously I'm a person that lived the sport, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for golf. So I like to see other young people get the opportunity to play this sport, and I'm not just talking about being top professional, but just have access. Being out there, meeting other young people with similar interests, and I mean, as you know, a sport is good for you, physically, mentally. And I think has a lot of social aspects I think are very beneficial. And today, one of the things that holds golf back is those barriers, as you mentioned. Maybe it's membership or access or just financially or just time. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons. But if we can open some of these barriers and just give young kids this opportunity to spark that interest, maybe find a passion that they didn't know that was there, or meet the right people that might open the door that just kind of take them to the next step in their life. So I think it's really important to be able to do those things. It might seem small, but in the end, it becomes really big and can really make a huge difference in somebody's life.
Yeah, it sure can. So can you explain the golf gap and then share how you're working to close that golf gap by creating opportunities for women and young girls?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, golf is for everyone, right? And I keep telling everybody, women like golf, women have dreams, we have aspirations. So, get women out there. I think it's the fastest growing aspect of the sport. And so it's just being more, female friendly. It's just, as far, it could be the wording, it could be, equipment-wise, clothing. I mean, just name it, just feeling like you're part of it and that you're welcoming. I think it's so important. And, time is a big deal, but there's a lot of things that we can do to make sure that, women have time to play. I mean, it doesn't have to be 18 holes. It can just be a few, holes here and there. You can have groups when you do different formats. If you feel intimidated, just find ways to make it more fun, make it more social, and meet other people. I think it's just, really, golf enhances people's lives. So let's just get a chance to approach other people and let them try and see where that takes them.
Yeah, I think that's great. And you have built such an incredible legacy. As you look ahead, what impact do you hope to make on people and communities that look up to you?
Well, thank you for the compliment. I'm never really, as you can imagine, a young girl just playing the sport, you really don't know where it's taking you. But I feel like I'm lucky to be in a place now where I can inspire others to follow their dream, kind of like I'm living my dream. So just continue to make an impact, and whether it's opening doors or share my passion or maybe mentor some of these young ladies, just talk positively about the sport. And I mean, that's really what, I burn for in the morning. I wake up and I'm excited to be able to make a difference. And when I see these young girls, when they are striving and when they are making progress and blossoming, it's just like, it's so cool to see. And just, it just kind of warms your heart to see that you're making an impact or helping somebody along the way. So, I mean, I obviously use golf as my tool to do that. And it's been fun because I still love the sport. So feel like I can have a little bit of an impact in somebody's life.
Yeah, it's so inspiring to see you go from, clearly you were such a competitor and so successful, and really transitioning that into this continued passion and, passing that on to others. It's really inspiring.